They're safe. Bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Boah, ich dachte schon. Ui. Ich dachte schon, sie jetzt erwischt, aber es war wohl offensichtlich nur, also hoffentlich nur, ihr Kopf-Dingsbums, ne? I'm out of words right now. Scheint ja nichts zu funktionieren auf diesem Schiff.
Carter!
I'm okay. But that's a lot.
Here, let me help you.
Ah, sie hat's ein bisschen erwischt.
Medical. We've got one wounded at my location. Millie.
Oh man.
Aber es scheint dir gut zu gehen.
We'll see you at sickbay.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me.
Oh.
You disobeyed my orders.
Yup.
Well?
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the
You
information I had.
disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Captain, I told you I'd be honest, so here it is. Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to, you did what you had to.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir.
Na, endlich.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar. That should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this.
Oh nein.
Me? Helm. Make way.
Das finde ich ganz gut.
Make way.
It's a sailing term.
I know that.
Whoa. Careful.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look fine.
Naja, das sind ihre, das ist ihre Krankheit, ihre Monitoring. Mal gucken, was sie sagt.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Das ist ja finster.
Commander, help me get her inside.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on her, but she'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your deridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
Rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the deridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
I know what it means. And I know the responsibility that comes with it. But I can't be anything more than who I am. And if someone has a problem with that, or expects something else, then that's their problem, not mine.
That's exactly right. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on.
I think after what happened, Captain Solano's learned his lesson. And whatever ambition he once had is on hold for a while.
He may say that, but we'll see what happens. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship, and everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure's almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of Duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Dankeschön.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be lurking outside of sickbay. I didn't want to intrude, so it felt more appropriate to wait out here. We were all worried about you. Or I should say I was. I wasn't sure what was happening at first. But then I realized it was your condition.
I'm feeling much better. Thank you. It's just part of who I am.
Well, being a jerk sometimes is part of who I am. So, I'm sorry for that. You trusted my intuition earlier, with the deflector pulse. I felt I should thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming. Even though you didn't have to.
I wanted to.
Complete the diagnostic sequence, and this shuttle will be cleared for service.
Yes, sir.
The storm in the Hotari region will interfere with our transporters, so we need all available shuttlecraft in working order.
Excuse me, Commander Trobach.
Petty Officer Maris, I will leave you to your work.
I stopped by sickbay and saw Nilly. I figured you'd want to know.
Did the doc get her fixed up?
She's stable, but there's something about the storm's radiation that's making it hard to heal the energy burns.
That doesn't sound good.
She's toughing it out. Dr. Duval said she'll be back on duty soon, though.
Come on. I have to run the final diagnostic.
I can't stay long. I've got a long to-do list before we get to Hotari, and things are piling on faster than I can check them off. We're making all our last-minute checks in security, too.
Now, we'll just have to take things as they come. Control what we can, and roll with the punches.
Next thing you're gonna tell me you're listening to Andorian jazz.
No.
The point is, the right time might never come. So, I'm just gonna roll with it. I had a chance to think about this while I was away. Then you and Nilly almost got killed out on the hull. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse.
Wait. Are you angry at me or something?
Oh, no, not that. I'm sorry. I'm probably making too big of a deal here. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Eine Romanze.
You don't have to explain it. I feel the same way. There is something between us.
So, do you want to find out what that something is? If it's there for you, and it's there for me, why not give it a try?
We don't have to put too much pressure on it. Let's just see where this goes.
I like that. Definitely felt some pressure coming down to see you.
These are uncharted territories.
I'd call it a chemistry experiment. You know, with us.
I'm just really glad that you said something.
I've seen how you operate. I couldn't wait for you to make the first move.
Was?
I'm glad too.
So whatever happens next is great with me.
Level 1 diagnostic complete.
I have to get back to that to-do list. They're probably looking for me.
Can't blame them.
I'll be seeing you.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Shield integrity holding.
We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Hä? Die
Shuttle to
treiben mal.
Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it any clearer.
We won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation.
Justus Excelsior. Oh,
We're
oh.
pulling in debris.
I'm on it.
Achso. So. Das war knapp. Okay. Da kommt noch einer.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Here's the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Hä? Was soll ich jetzt genau machen? Shield, ja, wie denn? Ah, okay.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17. 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge.
Was ist jetzt? Na, sehr gut, wir haben es geschafft. Das war gute Arbeit von allen Beteiligten.
shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock?
Okay.
The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter? Carter Diaz, sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
Well, it wasn't all me. I got some help from upstairs.
A bombastic approach to clearing debris. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
Well, this storm is one of the strangest phenomena we've ever encountered. It's disrupted other systems. Who knows what it might do to a warp drive?
Yes, it would seem further investigation is called for.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
Da ist der Spock also auf dem Schiff.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador.
You are a legend, Ambassador. There's not an officer in Starfleet that doesn't know of your career.
I would never assume that to be the case.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. The Lydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Lydians have shared a mining operation there. The Lydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Lydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Illidians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illidian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
If we could convince them, it would restore the peace. But we would need the Hotari to accept a difficult compromise.
Made all the more difficult by the emotions flaring on both sides, no doubt.
Neither the Illidians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illidians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
So we've already played a part in this.
Unfortunately, that is indeed the case, Commander Rydek.
We're morally obligated to make this right.
Hold on. Our only obligation is to negotiate the peaceful resolution of this conflict.
Given the Federation's involvement in the Illidium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Illidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past.
If it's keeping the two sides talking instead of shooting at each other, that actually helps us negotiate a peace.
And we'll take advantage of that as long as it works in our favor.
And when it doesn't?
All the more reason to learn as much about it as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught unprepared, should the energy anomaly continue to fluctuate. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case. It would be unconventional.
I'm honored to be included in the negotiation process.
You're not just included, you are instrumental.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Ich brauche gar nicht viel sagen, das erzählt sich ja alles von selbst. So.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
The Ambassador asked me to take a look, and I'm ready to crack this thing open.
Good. You could learn from Mr. Diaz's focus.
I'll take notes.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
One nice thing about Vulcans. Chovak is the only person who didn't look at this and treat me like I was something to pity. Doc says I should get used to it.
Hey, you won't get pity from me. I think it makes you look tough. As tough as you really are, that is.
And that makes you sound pretty smart. I might need you to save me from myself next time, though. Come on. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
So, ich weiß gar nicht, ob wir mal Stopp machen können. Nö, können wir nicht. So, Diagnostics, da sind sie. So. Begin Diagnostic.
So... I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Der Blick.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Was haben wir denn hier?
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
Ja.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation. Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Your tricorder can record and analyze data. Okay, also wir können den Tricorder benutzen. Darauf zu gucken wird halt offenbaren, was da schiefgelaufen ist oder was irgendwie kaputt ist sozusagen. 1 war der Phaser, 2 ist der Tricorder. Must close some objects to scan them. What's the frame on the screen to see if you have to... Okay. Wir werden das schon rausfinden. So. Okay. So viel dazu. Ich wollte mal eine Pause machen. Machen wir jetzt auch, ne? Also kurze Aufnahmepause und es geht gleich weiter an derselben Stelle, sage ich euch.